When we bought this property, one of the things that almost made us not buy it was the amount of wild parsnip that was here. Oh, the black flies are terrible today, whatever these are. Anyways, this property is covered. It doesn't matter where you walk, you will see wild parsnip plants. Now, at that time we thought it was devastating, but as it turned out, we dug some up and we cooked them up and they were tasty. So that's what we do now. We're on year 2 of this, and one thing I am noticing as I get going is I may have been a little devastating to this little patch here in the garden, but that's okay because I don't want it here. So that was kind of the idea, is by digging them up, they would disappear. I'm going to dig one up here for you and show you kind of what you get out of these. I know wild parsnip is something that people really shy away from, and it can be very dangerous. What's in it, Chris? It's the sap in it, basically.
Yeah, essentially the wild parsnip, or I'll have to do some reading on this, but I believe it's all parsnip. It has a compound in it which basically reacts with sunlight and causes essentially burns. They're pretty nasty and they blister up pretty bad, and if you get enough of the juice from the leaves on you, it can really it can be kind of disfiguring. And so wild parsnip, and well, domestic parsnip too, when they go to flower, they're a substantial plant, and that causes the problem. When you get really dense stands of it, you don't want to be walking through that. When it's little, which was what we're going to show you right now, you should still use caution. We would definitely recommend anybody harvesting it use gloves, like these ones that have they're non-permeable, at least on the front, because you don't want any of that sap on you. And we'll show you a little bit of handling that we do to minimize it. The root is not as problematic, and we'll kind of show you that in a minute too.
You can see just how much we have here. Show my asparagus patch.
So, and of course I'm touching this, but I'm not breaking it. Here's the wild parsnip leaves, which is the same as domestic parsnips. It's the same botanical species. And what Stephanie's doing is digging some of them up. Now we're finding a lot of these this year are quite small, and like the one in your hand is really small.
That's not even worth the effort. So.
But there's enough here for the amount of work. It was basically just harvesting. We didn't have to do anything else.
This one's a little bit red. No, it's not.
It's still pretty small.
They'll make nice little parsnip fries.
Yeah, they're still edible. We'll see if we can get some bigger ones, but
most of them are. This is a place where I harvested last year, so I think like I said, was a little bit detrimental to them, which is a good thing.
You got all the nice ones.
I took all the nice big ones last year.
We're going to keep going with this and see what we come up with. So one thing about wild parsnip, or parsnip in general, it's very cold hardy, like super cold hardy. So it has no problem, as you can see, similar to the wild carrots, of dealing with our winters, basically. Now the nice part about that is we basically harvest these in the spring. And part of that, I've read this, and we tried them last year and they were really good. That they're actually a bit sweeter because the plant's waking up and putting some effort into actually trying to grow. So as long as you get them when they're quite young, and we're kind of right at the cusp of that, they're still pretty good. Obviously, if you harvested them later in the year, through the late spring, early summer and whatnot, they'd be a lot woodier. So these are still at a pretty young, succulent stage, which is kind of nice. And we didn't have to go far to do it, and it's kind of an invasive thing we don't really want. So it's kind of a win-win all the way around.
These ones were a little bit better.
So there's some better ones that came out.
Still nothing compared to what I was pulling last year, but...
No, we had some real monsters last year, but there's a few...
They'll make a nice little, like I say, parsnip fries, roasted veggies, that sort of thing.
And then, again, we're kind of reiterating the same thing over and over, but the nice part of it is, if you have this on your property, it can be a real problem. And harvesting it is one method of essentially controlling it, because if you're consuming it, you're killing the plant. Yeah. So if you're on a small scale, you're obviously not going to do this over a huge portion of a property. But still, we figure we might as well use it because they are tasty. So as we work away at this, we're actually weeding out part of our asparagus bed, and you can see it's starting to come up. So we should be getting some shoots pretty good here in a bit. We've harvested a couple. We're trying to get as many of these parsnips out of here as we can, although we are still going to mulch it. We don't want to dig too much in around the asparagus if we can help it. because we don't want to kill it. But the nice part is it rained so much the last couple of days, some of these are pulling out decently, and of course parsnips are notorious for not coming out well. So let's see if we can get a few of them out here.
Now as you demonstrate, it's not going to work.
Good chance. Like that.
Oh, see? There you go, you pulled one out, nice. Oh, that one looked better. Oh, it's short stubby.
Yep, still edible though.
Yeah, we'll be making parsnip fries for supper.
That's the plan.
So we've pretty much harvested what we think we're probably going to use in our meal tonight.
And a little some.
And a little some extra maybe. Plus, a lot of them were tiny, so we're just going to kind of take them out, feed to the rabbits. Chris is just chopping the ends off. It's one thing. We still do it with gloves. Chop the ends, and then we'll hose these off in here before we take them in to get some of the dirt off. Basically, we're looking at parsnip fries for the majority of it. There's been some decent ones. I mean,
that one.
like this one here. I'm shading it. Maybe you can hold it. Like that one there. That's a decent little parsnip there. One thing I say, they do grow quite nice and straight, very much like carrots. But for a weed that most people spray and try and get rid of, we're going to eat it all. So it goes to show, though, that you can get rid of it quite quickly if you just pull it out.
You want to get rid of
Dig it
something?
out.
The best way to get rid of something
is eat it. But you can see here, as Chris is cutting, the inside of them is just a nice white. It's regular parsnip.
Really no different.
No, but we'll get these all cleaned up and see how we do. These are our parsnips that we picked. We're going to make them into parsnip fries tonight for dinner. They still need a little bit more cleaning, but I also peeled them, so it's not that big of a deal. But as you can see, we didn't get too many really big ones. A lot of them are little guys. That's why we've decided to do the parsnip fries. I think it'll work the best.
We've got them all peeled, and they don't look like a lot. We will admit, last year a lot of them were quite a bit bigger than they are this year, so we kind of whittled down some of the little guys, and we're still going to eat them. The advantage to harvesting them in the spring is they tend to be a lot sweeter because they've kind of gone through that winter period as you're kind of getting them just as they start to wake up and start their new growth. So we harvested these at the same time this year as we did in 2020, but we're not sure if the plants were a little further ahead, probably because of some of the warm weather we had, but we're going to try them anyways and see how it goes. Well, there they are in the pan. Just very simple. We're just going to fry them in a little bit of vegetable oil for a bit, and then there will be some seasoning go on them before we're done. But there's our wild parsnip fries. We're going to enjoy with tonight's lamb and Caesar salad. There's dinner. So lamb, Caesar salad, which is not our lettuce, unfortunately, but could be one day, and wild parsnip fries, which, to be honest, they kind of taste and look an awful lot like French fries, which is kind of cool. But anyways, that's just a little video on turning something that otherwise is a horrible, noxious plant to a lot of people into something that's actually edible. And even though it is a little bit of work and it's not something you can do on a large scale, it's completely edible and it's actually pretty good. So,
and we'll put the recipe below in the description for the seasoning that's on them.
Yeah, very, very simple recipe. But anyways, we're going to eat.